to defy explanation have always sparked fear and fascination. Take, for example, medieval practice of placing chains around a grave or even driving nails through the body to prevent a suspected vampire from rising. One infamous case comes from the 18th century where villagers in Eastern Europe discovered a grave with a nail driven through the corpse's skull. The local lore claimed that the deceased was a vampire, and these measures were meant to prevent the dead from returning to harm the living. Though it was once dismissed as superstition, modern forensic analysis of these vampire graves have shown that many of the corpses were in fact victims of tuberculosis or other diseases that caused abnormal appearances, leading to panic and the belief in undead horrors. Ritual sacrifices had been part of human history for millennia. Ancient civilizations, from the Aztecs to the Celts, practiced ritual burials of victims, either to appease gods or to protect the living. In some cases, victims were buried alive, with bones carefully arranged to specific patterns to convey power, protection, or appeasement. For example, in ancient Mesopotamia, human remains found in royal tombs show evidence of violent deaths, often with hands bound, suggesting that sacrifices were a common practice for the afterlife. The bones of these sacrificial victims tell a disturbing story, a society willing to use death as a means to influence the spiritual world. But not all ancient burials were intended to keep the dead from returning. Some cultures buried their deceased with care, offering protection from preventing restless spirits from crossing into the living world. One such practice was the double burial, where the body was buried alongside stones, tools, or personal items to ensure a safe passage into the afterlife. In some cases, the dead were buried with specific items, weapons to defend against spirits, jewelry to symbolize wealth in the afterlife, and even food offerings. These graves reflect a belief that death wasn't the end, but rather a journey to a realm where the dead could continue their influence. One of the strangest occurrences tied to burial sites is the phenomenon of moving bones. In one famous case in England, a femur was found repeatedly disinterred from the grave and moved to point in the direction of an abbey. While the villagers believed it was an omen or a sign from the dead, forensic scientists found that the natural forces, including soil erosion and animal activity, often play a role in these seemingly supernatural occurrences. And while folklore tells us these movements are driven by spirits, science suggests that human interference or natural forces like floods or animals shifting the remains are often responsible. It's an eerie example of how myths and facts intertwine. The fascination with the dead and how they're buried continues to this day. In modern times, myths surrounding the cursed burial sites still abound, especially in places with ancient ruins or hidden graves. But modern forensics is constantly uncovering the truth behind these myths. Through careful excavation and study, archaeologists are unearthing bones that tell their own story, revealing the real reasons behind strange burials. These discoveries continue to reshape our understanding of ancient cultures and their relationship to death, the afterlife, and the dead themselves. While the myths and rituals surrounding death may seem supernatural, the bones reveal a deeper truth. Every burial, every practice, and every ritual serves as a clue to the beliefs of ancient cultures, and often what they feared the most. The dead, in their silence, continue to speak through the bones they left behind. Subscribe for more stories from the world of the dead, where every bone tells a secret.